time now for Media Watch, and for that we're joined on set by James Creedon. Hi, James.
Hecty.
You've been taking a deep look at Trump's latest Twitter tirade. The object of that tirade, French President Emmanuel Macron.
That's right. Deep look at kind of shallow tweets, but can I say that? Well, tweets don't allow for a massive amount of depth, I suppose, really. But in any case, it did set off a lot of reactions. So 4 or 5 tweets about a range of issues, suggesting quite a degree of tension, which we thought had already been sort of dealt with in Paris when Donald Trump came in as one of over 70 heads of state for the Armistice Day celebrations. Landing in Paris, he tweeted something about Emmanuel Macron's reference to a European army to protect against China, Russia and France. And that was all addressed at the press conference at the Élysée Palace. So we thought this was done and dusted, but no. This is one of the tweets today. Emmanuel Macron suggests building its own army to protect Europe against the US. So that was already dealt with but brought up again. But it was Germany in World Wars I and II. How did that work out for France? They were starting to learn German in Paris before. So, you know, really digging the knife into difficult historical issues. The problem is that Emmanuel Macron is suffering from low approval ratings, unemployment rates are high, etc. There is no country more nationalist than France, very proud people, and rightfully so. Now, we'll get to some of why he's talking about all that in a second. But first of all, the responses. John Kerry, famously Francophile, he speaks very good French, former Secretary of State. He said Donald Trump is in love with Kim Jong-un, but insults our oldest ally. Don't expect him to know Lafayette, but the revolution wasn't the only time France had our back. After 9/11, France sacrificed 88 brave soldiers in Afghanistan. Stop tweeting. America needs some friends. Now, the thing is, I suppose we know that Donald Trump's strategy is to, you know, you have the public stage, Twitter is a big part of it, provoke. It's for the audience back home. Indeed, the Élysée Palace pretty much said that. They're not responding because they know it's for an American audience. And then the real stuff goes on behind closed doors, I suppose. You have Guy Verhofstadt, who is the head of one of the groups in the European Parliament. What Trump doesn't seem to realise is that without French money, the USA would not even exist as France financed the American Revolution. Statue of Liberty also mentioned there as well. You have the head of the Socialist Party, which of course was pretty much annihilated by Emmanuel Macron's new political formation during the election. He came out to support a political he's not an ally of Emmanuel Macron, but he did come out and support him. He said, this is really terrible what's happening when an American president is confusing the presidential word with verbal diarrhea. So that was his take on it. Eric Ciotti of the Conservative Party, he kind of agreed with Donald Trump, and he said, you know, all of these, there's nothing insulting here, it's all true. So who needs friends when you've got... anyway, so that's kind of just a taste of some of the reactions.
So what is the Twitter sphere thinking might have provoked the American president into these hostile tweets? Well,
I suppose a lot of media picked up on Macron's speech at the Armistice Day commemoration, where he really did take a dig at rising creeping nationalism, which he said is the opposite of patriotism, when Donald Trump, of course, has been embracing nationalism very much. So, it was seen widely, as this Washington Post headline says, as a rebuke to Donald Trump. This was the Korea Times, a cartoon that they had. Old demons are resurfacing, said Emmanuel Macron, and nationalism there. So really, around the world, it was seen as a jab at Donald Trump's strategies. Then, of course, there was the fact that he cancelled a trip to a cemetery on Saturday. Now, he did go to an American cemetery on Sunday, but he cancelled one on Saturday. He mentioned that in his Twitter tirade today, saying that the Secret Service basically said it would be too dangerous, Paris was in lockdown, but it was widely interpreted as something to do with a degree of laziness and the fact that he just didn't want to go out in the rain, which was kind of part of the... Then there was the French army, which was seen to have been trolling Donald Trump. Maybe this also kind of irked him. With a tweet like this, with a tweet such as this: Monday motivation. There's a lot of rain, but it's not serious. We still remain motivated. Now, actually, the French army said no, we weren't trolling him. We were just talking about the fact that it was raining and that we were continuing to exercise.
Interesting. Not so sure about that one.
Who knows? But I think there was a lot of trolling of him over that issue.
Donald Trump's also been mentioning wine and tariffs in his tweets. Tell us a bit more about that.
That's right. On trade, France makes excellent wine, but so does the US. And then he pointed out that there are tariffs for US imports and less tariffs for imports to the US of French wine. And he said it's not fair, it must change. Some people thought it was a good opportunity to point out that Donald Trump has a vineyard of his own, but apparently the wine isn't great. And there was one article here calling it Welsh's grape jelly with alcohol, how Trump's horrific wine became the ultimate metaphor for his presidency.
Wow, stinging stuff.
Kind of not directly relevant, but I thought I'd mention it. Other tweets such as this: I spent a week in Burgundy last month, and let me tell you, I don't think tariffs are the reason the French aren't buying American wine, although Californian wine is very, very well appreciated. This is the wine critic for the New York Times who is saying, actually, there is a tradition in Europe of people drinking local wine. You don't find a huge amount of Burgundy in Bordeaux. You don't find a lot of Tuscan wine in Sicily. You know, it's not just tariffs.
Now, the final tweet in this tweeted series by the US president was a very simple, all in caps lock, make France great again. What are we to make of this? Right.
Well, it's playing into the whole criticism of nationalism. You could read a lot into that. Is it almost to? But I think just on the surface, it is sort of poking fun at Emmanuel Macron, who took the slogan "Make America Great Again," made it into "Make Our Planet Great Again." You can see there that's an initiative of the French president, and so he's sort of turning even that on its head. But actually, there was this quite clever response from Eurosport saying, "Make France Great Again." Actually, we've kind of already done that. Won the World Cup, so we're doing okay on that front. Thanks very much,
James Creedon with Media Watch. Thank you very much indeed.